Hello and welcome to the She Reads Romance Books podcast, the ultimate show for romance book lovers looking for the best books worth reading. I'm your host, Leslie Murphy, and in each short episode, I share my favorite book list of recommendations so you know exactly what to add to your must-read list. Join me as I explore the romance genre and have fun collecting book boyfriends along the way, because life is better with a love story. Okay, hello readers. So happy to have you join me in this episode of the She Reads Romance Books podcast, where I am talking about one of my favorite romance book tropes, the fake relationship trope. And joining me to talk about why she loves this trope too, and some of our favorite books to read where the characters fake it until they actually fall in love, is romance author Laura Carter. So hey, Laura.
Hi, thanks for having me. I love talking books, so this is a dream day for me.
Yay. Well, I'm so happy to have you on the show and excited to talk with you. I know you were super sweet when I reached out and said, hey, would you want to talk about fake relationship books? And you're like, heck yes, let's do it. So first question, I guess, is where does fake relationship sort of rate for you in your mind? Would you say it's one of your top 3 romance tropes, top 5? Like, where does it land in everything?
That depends whether you're asking me reading or writing.
Oh, okay. Tell me both.
um, because I find it tricky to write, but I love to read it. So yeah, I would say it's in my top 3, actually. I'd probably say my top 3, I mean, this is today, right? Probably fake dating, enemies to lovers, and I'm going to say second chances, because on the tip of my tongue was forced proximity, but I feel like forced proximity kind of comes in any of those tropes
Sure.
as an add-on. So yeah, I do. I love fake dating. And when I tried my hand at writing it, I liked it a little bit less.
That's fair. I think it'd be hard. Yeah. Well, when someone asks me that question, I think I'm always, my first answer is my favorite trope is enemies to lovers. I just sort of love that chemistry, the banter back and forth,
Yeah.
that goes on. But, thinking about it, I'm like, fake relationship, I think, is definitely a close second in my mind. Probably up there with marriage of convenience, because that's kind of fake relationship too,
Mhm.
right? But yeah, so
Actually, I think it's one of those tropes that, I was thinking about all of the fake dating books that I love, and rom-com movies to watch before we started this. And I was thinking, it's actually, even if it's not the headline trope, it actually sits in so many romantic comedies and otherwise romance books without kind of necessarily being so obvious. But
yeah.
yeah, so, and I was thinking about my favorite rom-coms to watch, and it's in so many of them without me thinking, oh, I want to watch, a fake dating rom-com or read a fake dating book. It just happens that, I pick it up, and there it is, fake dating
Yeah,
again.
yeah, that's so true. And like you said, like it fits, or there's so many other fun tropes that kind of can fit with it, right? So maybe that's why you see it a lot. Like you said, enemies to lovers, it can have fake dating, it can have forced proximity, all of those fun stuff. So I love how it kind of easily blends with other ones too. But I don't know, I was trying to think, like, I know I love it so much. I was trying to think, why do other readers sort of gravitate towards this trope? Or what are some of the things that keep you coming back to it that stand out?
I think it's so playful. I mean, as someone who writes and reads romance and rom-coms in particular, I think what I'm in the market for is escapism.
Mhm.
And with fake dating, you can extend believable just a little bit further, I think, because, you kind of look at books and movies that explore fake dating, and you think, how likely is that to happen? And yet, whilst you're reading or watching, you're in it and you're going, yeah, this is totally feasible. Why not? And I think I realized that when I was writing it, actually, that I thought, you can go almost towards farcical with fake dating, and yet it's still kind of plausible, because I think the default setting for a reader when you're reading a fake dating book is, I'm going for the escape. I am expending with reality, and I'm willing to do that, and I'm willing to go just a little bit further and still believe it. So yeah, so that for me, I think, is what gets people coming back. And it fits in a genre as well, where you can pick up a book and read a couple of chapters and put it down and go back the next night, and it can fit around a busy life, and it's
Mhm.
just very playful. So yeah, a few things I think for me
Yeah.
anyway.
Well, that reminds me too, like, I love how it can bring two people together who you might not otherwise be together. So that sort of, escapism piece, but then they figure out, oh, we actually do fit, after they've been faking it for a while. I kind of love that aspect. I mean, I guess that's sort of opposites attract part of it too, but two people who are like, yeah, there's no way we would ever start something. So yeah, let's just fake it for our own, respective reasons,
Yeah,
which is pretty
especially
fun.
and especially with haters to lovers or enemies to lovers, because you force them together, so that back and forth push and pull, that banter that we love about enemies to lovers or haters to lovers, you force them into that. So I think it's something that can keep, we've probably all been there where you've read enemies to lovers and you've kind of gone, why are they still mad at each other though?
Yes.
Why are they still bantering? Is it just for gratuitous bantering's sake? Whereas fake dating allows you to keep that, I think, for so much longer because they're forced together, they're getting something mutual out of the relationship usually. So they have a reason to continue, even though they might have otherwise said, thank you, I hate you enough to just walk away and not have you in my life. You are toxic.
Yes, exactly. And I think when something starts as fake, I love how it can allow both characters in the relationship to just totally be themselves, right? Like where I think sometimes when you're dating, you have to you put on sort of a not a show, but like you're trying to put forth your best self and be and trying to assess the other person, like what are you looking for and how am I presenting myself to you? Where I think when it's faking, they're just sort of like being real, right? And I love that, I think most probably about this trope because there's just no care almost at first just to put on airs or something, be like, this is who I am. And I think that almost makes them fall in love faster because they feel like they can be themselves.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. No, I completely agree with all of that. I
Yeah.
don't think
Yeah.
if I were to comment on that, I'd literally say back to you what you just said.
Yeah.
I agree massively with that. Yeah, I think it is. It's interesting, I think, because yeah, how often are the real versions of people, the ones we put forward? But with fake dating, it's like, I know you don't like me. I don't like you either.
Right,
So
exactly.
so
We're
yeah,
in this
and I
both for our own reasons, so let's just do this and get through it. Yeah.
exactly. And I feel like as a reader, you're sort of in on the game because we know they're going to get together because,
Mhm.
happily ever afters. That's what we're in the market for.
Right.
But you're sort of, which bits of them are fake and which are real. And you're almost ahead of the curve, I think, on the protagonists when you're reading fake dating. And quite often they're dual narrative as well, aren't they? So it's nice to kind of get into the heads of each of them. But yeah, I feel like the reader in fake dating quite often gets to sort of say, no, 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 I know.
Right,
I know you don't
exactly.
know.
And I think too, like reading them, one of my favorite parts to always get to is just that first kiss, right? Whether it's something they've practiced and they're kind of like, all right, let's just do this so it can look real when we have to do it in front of everybody, or if they're like forced to do it for the first time when they really weren't planning on it quite yet. And then afterwards, they're like, oh, there is maybe a spark here, right?
Light bulb moment. Yeah, yeah, I love that.
It's so fun. But then also too, when the characters sort of also realize like, oh, it's not so fake for me anymore. And then there's that sort of quasi time period where they're like, but I don't know if the other person still thinks it's fake and I don't know that I want to say anything to like put myself out there. I always love that sort of angst to the story too. It's always fun.
Yeah. I think it runs in parallel with there are still things about each other that drive you crazy in a bad way. So you keep that tension, but now you introduce a new tension probably about halfway through the book. And it's that kind of heavy middle in a book where the ante's upped again with fake dating and you get a new take on it and oh hang on who's going to move first. So even though we know the characters are going to end up together, who's going to make the first move, who's going to be brave enough, who falls first, yeah, who has that light bulb moment first. And so it's kind of one big game. And yeah, as I say, I feel like the reader's in on it, and
It is,
better
yeah.
game than romantic comedy to play.
Exactly. Well, let's talk again about how writing it. So tell us a little bit about your fake relationship book, Fake It Till You Make It. Tell us a little bit of
Yeah.
a summary. Give us a little setup to the book.
I mean, I'm actually going to show you that I didn't realize until I sat down with the book in front of me that I've gone really matchy.
You have. I love it.
And I swear this was an accident. If I tried to match, I would have gone pink, not the yellow on the front. So
Beautiful
yeah.
yellow. Yes, I love the cover. Super, super cute.
Oh, they are. I would love to take credit for the covers, but there is an extremely talented illustrator called Rachel Lawston, and she designs them all from scratch, literally from a blank piece of paper. She and my editor over at Boldwood Books, they work so closely together, and honestly, by the time I see it, I kind of go, maybe tweak this or that, but really they just do such an amazing job. They really smash it out of the park with every cover. So yeah, I love this one too, but thank you. Just nothing I can take credit for at all. um so Fake It Till You Make It is, so it's obviously fake dating, in and the twist that I've put on Fake It Till You Make It is that it's also mistaken identity. So we meet protagonists Abby and Ted at the beginning of the book when they have both been kind of quite dramatically dumped by who they thought were going to be their long-term partners. For Abby, it's a childhood sweetheart. For Ted, it is, this kind of out of this world, beautiful model, influencer kind of person, the person who he thinks he should have been with forever. Who lets a girl like that get away? So they've both been dumped. And Ted is from San Francisco. He is a tech entrepreneur out in San Francisco. And his brother, Mike, is a major league baseball player. And his brother plays for the San Francisco Giants, but he also has a second home in New York. So when we meet Ted, Ted has run from kind of all of the social media and the people in the know out in San Francisco to just hide out in his brother's apartment in New York until he figures out what life looks like now. And when we meet Abby, she and her ex had talked about this kind of apartment block in Brooklyn that to them was this aspirational apartment block. If they lived in there, if they had an apartment in there, it meant that they'd achieved all of their other goals in life. That was kind of how they saw it. So when he dumps her for somebody else, after all of these years she's wasted on him, she kind of says, screw you. And she goes and spends her entire wedding pot savings on 6 months' rent on one of these apartments in the apartment block that was aspirational. So when she bumps into Ted, we have quite a fun meet cute that involves period panties and a move-in box that falls apart at the very wrong time as Ted's passing by, and there are the giant nude knickers on the floor outside of the apartment. And unknown to Abby, she goes along to a dinner with her siblings who, as I say, her ex was childhood sweetheart. So her whole family love him and think that they should be together. And he has the audacity to turn up to this dinner with a date.
Ah.
Moreover, he's dating someone from the aspirational apartment block.
Oh no.
We
Okay.
hate him. We hate him. So she's obviously upset by this. She goes home, realizes when he gets out of a cab with his new girlfriend that he's coming into the apartment. This is where she lives. And she's utterly devastated. And who is waiting in the background but Ted, who has been dumped? And he sort of puts an arm around her and pretends to be her boyfriend.
Oh, so he starts it. Oh, I love it.
He
Okay.
starts it. It's very organic. They sort of fall into it through really just empathy for each
Mm-hmm.
living in the same circumstances. Then they end up in the elevator together of this apartment block, and he has picked up his brother's mail, who is Michael Thomas, the baseball player. And Abby sees his name. Her sister goes off Googling and doing whatever. And basically, long story short, she believes that Ted is Mike, his brother.
Gotcha.
And through kind of awkward circumstances with a dating app, Ted believes that Abby is her sister, who's an actress. So
Oh, another influencer, like, okay, yeah. Mhm.
yes. So now, exactly. So he automatically doesn't really like her, but he's already kind of fake dating her now. So the pro baseball player and the actress are now dating each other. Neither of them know who the real version of them is. So it's dual narrative. And as we go through the book, the reader gets to be in on the game, as I'm talking about, because the reader knows that they aren't who they're pretending to be
Right.
to each other. And drip feed kind of information about the real version of them is coming out. And what the reader also knows is that if they just knew who they each were, Abby is a numbers girl, she's an accountant. Ted is this tech geek from San Francisco. They're really perfect for each other.
Right.
Um, and so they end up going out to her parents' vow renewal out in Canada, and we get a load of fake date shenanigans over
Oh my
there. I
gosh.
could ruin this book for you
This
entirely.
sounds
But
so
I'm just going to
cute.
leave it there.
How do you even, like, start to come up with an awesome idea like that? Like, I don't know.
Do you know, I think I sort of fell into it, honestly.
Okay.
Honestly. I wanted to write a fake relationship book. So my characters always come to me first. So I kind of had Ted and Abby in my head. I knew who they were. I loosely thought, okay, this is going to be a fake relationship book. And then when I explored who they were and why they were living in the apartment block, it was kind of a light bulb moment where I just sort of went, but wouldn't it be fun if they thought they were a baseball player and an actress? And it was fun as an idea until I was writing it. And every time I moved my moved to my laptop, I had to go, hang on, who are they? Who are
Right.
they trying to be to the other person? And whose identity are they? Who are they to the reader? So all of the time it was trying to remember who they really are, who they're pretending to be, who they're faking to be to other people. And so I bit off a lot with this book. And this is why I say I love it now. I do love the book now. But whilst I was writing it, there were a few moments where I had to take long beach walks
Yes.
and just
Oh my
work the
gosh.
whole thing through in my head and come back and sit down. And yeah, it was tricky to write. So I kind of fell out of love with the trope for a little bit.
Sounds it.
But
Yes.
I wanted it to be different. I wanted it to have something different to the kind of conventional fake dating book. I see nothing wrong with reinventing the wheel. That's what we do in romance all of the time, of course, with our tropes. But I just wanted it to feel a little bit different.
Absolutely. And I love when authors do that because, yeah, there's something comforting in knowing, like, oh, this is what I love about fake relationship. But yet, when an author puts this really cool spin on it, that's when you're like, oh, this is really neat. And it sounds like exactly what you did, which sounds super cool. Yeah.
I think it just meant I could have a lot of fun too.
Hmm.
Because not only has the reader already agreed by reading a fake dating book to expend with reality, so have the characters in the book. And they know it, which often isn't the case. They think, the reader kind of expends with reality, but the characters still have to be believable. You still have to be there and in their heads. But in this book, they also have decided to
Right.
just let go of reality and be someone else because when we meet them at the beginning of the book, the real versions of them they think are just undateable, so they want to be someone else. They just want to live in somebody else's shoes that they think is so cool, by comparison to the real them. And yeah, we get to explore that. And of course, the overriding message that I think we've all faked something about ourselves at some point, from
Hmm.
the smallest detail of life to maybe something bigger, maybe even a relationship. And I love I in when I do kind of Facebook live sessions or groups, I often ask people, tell me a situation where
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
faked it. And I
Yeah.
love hearing their stories. They go from everything from like the tiny to the outrageous. And yeah, and I think you get to play around with that. So yeah, so it was a lot of fun. It was more fun to write initially and then edit. The bit in the middle was just hard.
Well, and I would think even too with this sort of trope that the pacing of the story would be tricky, right? Because like you said, and even then adding in the identity piece, like how to like pace that there's sort you're building it up and then to that piece of, oh, they really do like each other. How do we not fake it anymore? Like I think the pacing would be really tricky as an author. I mean, I have no writing skills for that in my life, but so I'm in awe of people who can do it.
Well, no, I agree with you actually, and it was one of the trickier things, and it was one of the in the structural edit, which is kind of your first big stage of edit with your editor, your publisher, or whoever, if you're self-pubbed. That big edit for me, we focused on pacing a lot, and one of the other things that was quite tricky to balance is, of course, they are lying to each other to an extent, so that trying to get that balance right where, and hopefully we did it, where the reader still likes these people, even though
Right.
they're faking it to other people, they're lying to each other. We didn't want it to feel like this kind of dark web of lies. It's not supposed to be like that.
Right.
So it's almost, supposed to be just a bit more than a white lie. And the characters are grappling with that themselves as they start to fall in love with the other person. They're kind of going, am I faking it too much? What am I
Mhm.
faking? What do they need to know? Can they even fall in love with me if they don't truly know me? How much of me have they seen?
Yes. Yes, yes.
So yeah, so it was tricky because we needed to bring out all of those points and resolve all of the issues without letting it kind of fall flat.
And all
So
within like 300 pages. Yeah. No
exactly,
small
yeah,
feat.
there's a lot to unpack in 300 pages. But hopefully I did the hard bit so that the reader just gets to have like the easy,
Absolutely.
enjoyable escapist
We just get
read.
to sit back and enjoy them. Absolutely.
I hope so. I hope, yeah. That was the master plan.
Well, in addition to Fake It Till You Make It, tell us another one of your favorite fake relationship books. Let's talk about our favorites.
I have a stack, but
Okay.
I've chosen this. This is my ultimate favorite at the moment. Happy Place by Emily Henry. I'm hoping that shows up the right way on your screen.
I think
Does
so.
that?
Yeah. Yeah.
um, I adore Emily Henry. I literally think there isn't a better rom-com writer than her at the moment. I just think she's like a masterclass in characterization and descriptions. I think she is fantastic. So, for anybody who doesn't know about Happy Place, this is a couple who they are engaged to be married, but they've decided to part, and they think that they are going away with their friends to this kind of summer house where they've gone as a group of friends before. And the friend who owns the summer house, her parents are selling it. So this is kind of a last hurrah at the summer house, so they think. And they don't want to ruin it for their friends. So they've decided to go along and basically fake still being engaged for the benefit of the group. And of course they reconnect and they fall in love, and we discover the reasons why they fell out of love, and I think in a way that makes them so redeemable, and we can feel how neither of them wanted to change, and neither, they didn't want their relationship to change, which is such a tug on the heartstrings.
Hmm.
So yeah, so we love them, and there's lots of fun and shenanigans because they're with their group of really good friends as well. So yes, that is my number one
That
pick.
is a good one. And you're right. I didn't even think about that one because it's sort of like a different take on second chance romance because like you said, they're faking it for their friends who think they're still together, but they weren't. And yes, it was a great one. I love that
Oh
too.
yeah, you've got forced proximity, second chances, fake dating. The tropes are all there, and Emily Henry's writing is just phenomenal. So
Yes,
if you
absolutely.
haven't read it, go read it.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Well, I'll jump. One of mine favorites that came to mind was Blindside by Candy Steiner,
Ooh, I
fake
love Candy Stein.
sports romance or set in college. This is about Gianna, who is a 20-year-old virgin, and she sort of helps with the publicity of the college football team. And she really, though, wants to catch the eye of a musician, but doesn't really know how, right? So then you have Clay. I can't remember what position he plays. Maybe it's tight end. I can't remember. He proposes that they have this fake relationship to help her get noticed by the musician, but then he will also benefit because he wants to make his ex jealous. And since she is a virgin without a lot of experience, he also becomes sort of her bedroom teacher, if you will, so that she will know what she's doing once she gets the chance with her dream guy. So I loved this one because it had the spice, the chemistry between those two, and I always love when characters read romance books and rom-coms. So Gianna is a romance book lover, and she always like, tags and highlights parts of the books that really sort of turn her on. And so Clay would pick them up and read that to sort of know what she's into. So it was a fantastic book.
Oh, I like a book within a book.
Yes, it was
I
awesome.
haven't read that one either, but I do like Candy Steiner, so this is going on my to be read list now.
Yes, absolutely. All right, what's another one that you have?
I mean, I think we all love her, but this is wait till you see how bashed up this copy of my book is. But The Love Hypothesis, Ali.
Yes, good one.
Yes, and I have to tell you the story. This is so bad. I hope Ali never sees this really, because what happened was I read this on holiday, and I took it into my child's pram, which was safely parked by the side of the pool until a big gust of wind came and knocked my pram over and knocked the book
No.
into the pool. And I'm literally like, the pram and everything else is going, and all I'm doing at the side of the pool is like,
Save
no,
the book.
so I dried it out and I brought it home so that it is still very much loved and kind of readable. It's just a bit stiff.
Yes.
So yes, The Love Hypothesis. Of course, it is a STEM romance,
Mhm.
and this is Olive and Adam. Olive is a PhD student candidate. And so she is trying to get a research proposal basically all teed up so she can undertake her PhD. Adam, meanwhile, is already a researcher at the same university. And she doesn't really believe in love. Her best friend, I think her name is Anne, if I'm remembering correctly. So her best friend is, massive romantic. And she kind of worries that Olive, puts all of her time into science and doesn't have this romantic connection in her life. So her best friend is wanting to date kind of her friend who it looked like Olive would be with a little while before. And so, as you do, Olive sees Adam in the corridor, and Anne is coming along the corridor. And so she quickly throws herself at Adam and kisses him to. I don't even think she knows what she's trying to do, but kind of blag that she has some kind of romance in her life so that her friend will go off and date the other guy that she's worried about dating. So she's trying to do it as a good friend. Meanwhile, Adam is sort of in a position of authority at the
Mhm.
university. It's kind of slightly taboo. He's super mega hot. He's also super mega grumpy. And she explains to him what she's done, and they decide that they'll keep up this fake relationship, and they end up at the same science conference later in the book, and they're in the
Yeah.
same place at the same
Yeah.
time, and they're both
Yeah.
pretty attractive. And yes, so that is I love Ali's writings. So I mean, that book is a fake dating book, but really I would read anything by her. They are
Yes.
literally my two favorite authors at the moment. So yeah, The Love Hypothesis, I'm going to say, is great writing, lots of fun, and I love that we have Ali's smart STEM women
Yes.
in the books as well, which is this one is no different.
That is a great recommendation. I totally forget Adam's reason for going along with it, but that's sort of what I love too about fake relationship, where there's so many different reasons why someone wants to or agrees to go into a fake relationship, and one being like to get someone off their back about finding love, as
Yeah.
was Olive's case, or it could be just, improving your reputation in the media, or making an ex jealous that we talked about. So many fun reasons that make people be like, yeah, I need to fake a relationship, and this is why. So
With Adam, I don't think this is a spoiler because it happens at the very, very beginning of the book,
yeah.
but he sees Olive you might remember now when I say this, in the toilets in the bathrooms of the university when she goes for her interview and kind of application at the very beginning of the book. So this is years before she then is back.
Oh, right. Yes, yes,
I
yes.
hope I mean, I don't quote me on all of the finer detail of this,
Hmm.
but yeah, they have this kind of meeting where she can't see. I forget if her contact lenses have come out or something,
Yeah.
and
Okay,
they're
now
in
it's
the
coming back
toilet
to me.
together. And so she didn't know that he was who he was, but he knew when she started at the university that she was the girl from the bathrooms that he'd seen before. And so he was already kind of into it. So I think that that's
That's
his kind of
great.
main motivation for going along with it. And I
Oh,
don't think that's a spoiler because it's in the
no,
beginning.
definitely not a spoiler. And I think when an author would see like a book so well loved like that, that's probably like the best, compliment that you could give
I went
somebody.
diving for that book. I dove in the deep end to get my book back. So
Yes, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Let me see. One of my recommendations, I'm trying to think of something different. Oh, so one I read recently that I really loved, and this is, and again, I love how you can I have a historical option, I have sports romance, but a paranormal romance that has fake dating is The Fake Mate by Lana Ferguson. That's also kind of an office romance between two doctors, a cardiologist and an ER doc. So this actually turns fake relationship up a notch by making a fake mate romance. So Mackenzie and Noah, they're not just faking being boyfriend and girlfriend, they are faking being a mated pair of werewolves. He is an alpha werewolf, which actually nobody really knows about, and she is an omega werewolf, which again nobody knows that she's an omega. But Noah, he's been hiding his designation as an alpha and taking suppressants to hide his scent because I guess there's still this stigma about an unmated alpha and how they could probably like just go crazy, and who wants a cardiologist that could, lose his shit at any moment. So he's been hiding his status to kind of protect his job, but somebody's outed him and all of his hard work is sort of at risk. But then Mackenzie, she is this ER doctor who's, dating life has been pretty dismal, but she has a grandmother in particular who just keeps like pushing her and is desperate for her to find somebody. So to kind of get her grandmother off her back, she claims to have already have this boyfriend, and she just pronounces that it's Dr. Noah. So
alpha werewolf.
right, exactly. So what
I love
transpires,
it.
they decide, okay, let's be fake mates, not only to satisfy, Mackenzie's grandmother, but to also get the hospital board off of Noah's back. And so it was just a really fun, different, it's paranormal, but it feels kind of like a contemporary rom-com where they just happen to be, werewolves. But it has this really fun line about focusing on their scents and how like Noah would sent her to like mark her as his, so it would be believable that they were really fake mates. And so those scenes were just, pretty cool and would build up to the sort of tension between them, if you will. So it was awesome. The Fake Mate by Lana Ferguson.
I am going to read this and I shall tell you why.
Okay.
One, it sounds amazing. Two, I just don't know where to start with. So I'm really like conventional 1990s, 2000s rom-com. That's my go-to. I wouldn't know where to start with paranormal, with romantasy. So this sounds great. I'm going to this, and this may be it, Leslie. This may be like 10 years from now, I'll be telling you that this is all I read. They were like, that's where it started. It started in our chat.
Yes, exactly. That would be fun. So it's kind of like if someone's not really into paranormal, but it's just, but the whole idea of this fake relationship between doctors, it was great and it was super spicy and so a lot of fun. But anyway, do you have one more to share or
Do you know? I could go on forever. Honestly, I could go on
we can
forever.
share one more and then we'll talk about your next book that I want to hear about. So
Okay. Well, do you know the one that I have sitting next to me? I'm just looking right down at my bookshelf because I'm going to pull another one off now. But I'm actually just about to start Christina Lauren's The Unhoneymooners. Have you read this?
I haven't seen that cover though. I love it.
Oh, I wonder if it's a British cover.
It's cute. I love it. I have
Um,
read it. Adorable.
Have you? So
Mhm.
this isn't the one I'm going to say, but I literally am about to start it. It's next on my list. And I had wanted to read it before we spoke, actually, but I didn't manage because I've had a busy July. July and August have been busy. So yeah, so I'm about to start that. And this is what's great about the book world. So I did a Facebook group takeover, and I always ask for recommendations because I always say, yes, I'm a writer, but every writer is a reader, and I'm a reader before I'm a writer, otherwise can you write a book? And so I always say, have you got any recs? And because I was chatting about fake it till you make it, I wanted fake dating recommendations, because when I'm writing a trope, I stop reading the trope to make sure
Mhm.
that I don't kind of subconsciously, obviously I'm not going to steal an idea, but I just don't want to subconsciously have any
Yeah.
doubt that anything kind of slipped in, there was a similarity or something. And so this one was the number one recommendation for fake dating when I did that takeover. And I am happily kind of through a few author blurbs and things like that. And I am reading this one next. So I probably
Mhm.
just eaten into time because so I will tell you what I was going
No,
to say.
you're fine. You're good. Yeah.
I was going to say I love also the
Yeah.
Spanish Love Deception, Alina Armas, and I've actually just bought her new one at the weekend, the Fiance Dilemma.
Fiance dilemma?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yes, purple, beautiful purple cover.
Mhm.
I've just bought that. But yes, the Spanish Love Deception. Oh, I mean, Aaron, come on.
I know,
He
right?
is just delightful, right? He's like, he literally ticks every box, doesn't he? Of the kind of, the grumpy guy you just want the female love interest to break him. You just want him to be broken. And this is beautiful. So let me take a step back. So these guys are working in the same company. I mean, you kind of, as a reader, you sort of know that he likes something about
Yeah.
her. She needs a date because she is going off to an occasion where her ex is going to be. So kind of, we're ticking the conventional fake dating boxes here. And he says he'll be her date. And she's like, I literally hate you. So no, just no. However, she gets so desperate that she says, well, okay, fine. I've no idea why you're doing it, but fine. Let's fake date. And of course, I mean, then he takes his clothes off.
Right.
And there's no going back from that, not with
Right,
Aaron.
right, right.
Um, so yeah, so that is I really love that. And funnily enough, it was one of the first books that I read that I'd been wanting to read, that I read after Fake It Till You Make It. And it was actually really funny because I had two reviews that I saw, advanced reviews on NetGalley, and they were like, oh, it feels like it's very reminiscent of the Spanish Love Deception about Fake It Till You Make It, which actually I've got to say I don't think it is remotely. It's so different. But the hilarious thing for me seeing those reviews was like I was literally then reading the Spanish Love Deception, and
Too
I'd never
funny.
read it. I had no idea what it was about. But that's exactly the kind of thing that I'm talking about. So I'm pleased that I hadn't read it.
Yes.
There was no doubt in my mind that they could be right because I hadn't read it. And sometimes I think, we're so used to the kind of the conventions and the tropes. If a reader picks up fake dating and they're not so used to the tropes, they kind of see the similarities because of course
Mhm.
both books are about fake dating. What
Right,
do you
exactly.
but yes, that is another one that I love. And as I say, that was my first one that brought me back into my fake dating to be read list, which was growing. And my next one is The Unhoneymooners, which
Fantastic.
I'm very, very excited
Nice. Well, Fake It Till You Make It's gonna be on everybody's TBR list now, but you also have a new romance coming out in October, right?
about. I
Can
do.
you tell us a little bit about that one?
I would love to. I would love to.
Mm.
So it's called Stuck in Paradise with You. And this is a second chance. I mean, they're kind of enemies now, they're enemies to lovers. So 7 years prior to the book starting, these two were a junior associate and a kind of more senior accountant on the cusp of partnership. So they were sharing an office together. He was, in a position of authority. He was also split from his wife, not yet divorced, but very much split. There is no cheating in the book. Just assuring people because I don't like reading that. So it's never going to be in my books. It's kind of a hard pass for me. So they 7 years earlier, they kind of had this taboo relationship, both because it shouldn't have happened at work, both because he was still technically married, even though it was a technicality, and they had this really kind of heated 6 week, very steamy romance, but we don't see it because it's 7 years before the book. So where we pick up the characters is 7 years later, and Carrie, has basically had to change the narrative for the last 7 years that she tried to sleep her way to the top. She absolutely didn't do. She genuinely fell for the guy she was sharing an office with. And I don't want to do spoilers. So, for various reasons, that relationship ended badly, quite traumatically for both of them. And now she is on the cusp of partnership, having worked so hard to change that narrative. And the partner who services this billionaire philanthropist who has his own private island out in the British Virgin Islands in the Caribbean. He gets a tummy bug. And so Carrie kind of goes, okay, I'm a yes girl right now because I'm about to make partnership. So she agrees, no matter what it is, I'm going to go and I'm going to fill the shoes of this partner and, prove that I can do it, like my last act before becoming partner. Only when she's sitting on the aeroplane and she starts researching her new client, who has put her in first class on the aeroplane because he owns the airline, she realizes that his CFO, his chief financial officer, is years ago. And they now stuck in paradise on this beautiful island. There is a hurricane coming to the Caribbean. So when she gets there, she thinks, I'm going to do my work. I'm going to leave. He, meanwhile, is like, I don't want to be anywhere near this woman. I want to leave. And neither of them can leave the island because the military have closed the airport in the British Virgin Islands because this storm is coming. So there is a figurative storm coming. There is a literal storm coming, and there's lots and lots of fun going on here because they really hate each other. This is so they're enemies to lovers, they're second chances, it's forced proximity. And I think one of the things that I love about this book is that all of the B characters are really fun, great, rounded
Love that.
characters as well. And yeah, I'm so excited. I've got to say, I'm more excited about this book than I have ever been about a release. I think sometimes I've heard other authors say the same thing. Like sometimes you feel like the stars align and when you're writing a book that kind of this is it.
Magic is happening. Yeah.
Yeah, like something is happening, something is working. And what was really interesting about this book, it was the first time that it really, really happened for me. And I kind of went, I've got these characters, I've got this story. I know, like, my fingers just can't type fast enough because I know where this is going. And I know I just want to get on with it. I know how great I think this is going to be. And so I actually went to my publisher and I wasn't contracted to write that book at that point in our kind of release schedule. And I said, I can't write another book until this one is out of my system because that's how strongly I feel about it. And she went, well, okay, well, I kind of don't have a choice. My editor just went, yep, okay, I suppose you're doing it. And obviously you always get constructive edits and what have you. And for the first time when my editor read the book for the first time and she replied to me, she didn't come with this huge letter. She literally, her line was, and I've never had this, was, what a novel. And I just kind of like sank into my seat and went, oh, somebody else gets it.
Yeah.
So I am so excited about it. I actually have the cover reveal just about to come up as well on the 23rd of August. I think we're revealing the cover, and it's a really bright, kind of plays into the paradise element and the tropics. And I think you can see the playfulness also between the characters in there. So yeah, I mean, just because I love it doesn't necessarily mean readers are going to love it.
Sounds great. Yeah.
And if you ask my husband would say, I always say that my next book is my best book, but this one feels special. So yeah, I'm very, very excited about it. And that is out on the 15th of October.
Okay. 15. And it's called what again? Remind us all.
Stuck in Paradise with You.
Okay.
And just wait until you see the cover.
Mm.
If you're across my socials or look on whatever retailer websites, it's going to be up in a matter of days.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. Yay. It must be so thrilling to finally especially when you love a book so much, to have it present it to the world and finally have it released, to be like, okay, read it. I love it so much. I hope you do too.
Well, the beautiful thing about recording this with you today is that I'm still in a bubble of I don't know, which is great. So right now, I love the book and I can pretend to myself that everyone is going to love this book just as much as I do. And we don't. I think it goes up on NetGalley within the next week or so. So that may be when my bubble is burst. But this is kind of a lovely time where the book technically still belongs to me and it's still mine and it's my baby and I get to love it. And then as soon as kind of it goes out and other people are reading it and you're seeing reviews come in and things, I feel like it doesn't belong to me anymore.
Awesome.
That right now I get to at least pretend that everyone's going to think the stars aligned like I did.
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh, that's so great. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I'm so excited to read it. Before we go, I'm going to maybe have you stick on and answer a couple more questions for my book club members. But before, can you tell listeners where they can find you on social or online so that they can be sure to wait for that cover reveal and be sure to stay in touch with you for all the new upcoming releases you're going to have.
Yeah, so I'm most active on Instagram. I am at Laura Carter Author. I'm also at Laura Carter Author on Facebook. Somebody stole my profile on TikTok. So I am laura.carter.auth, not author, auth on TikTok. But I'm very new to TikTok, so please be gentle with me. I'm just feeling my way around TikTok. I was a bit hesitant to go on. I'm just getting there. And on, I mean, are we calling Twitter X? Are we
I
on
don't know.
X?
I don't know.
I am L
It's
Carter.
overwhelming, I'll admit. Yeah.
I
All of it.
know, I know. But yes, there are actually a couple of Laura Carter's writers, but occasionally I get tagged in their book reviews or whatever. But yes, so the best way to find me initially is probably Instagram or Facebook, and that's at Laura Carter Author.
And there you have it, folks. I had such a great time talking all about fake relationship books with Laura Carter. Hope we gave you a bunch of book titles to add to your TBR list, including her own Fake It Till You Make It. If you would like to hear more about Laura as a reader, what she loves about romance, and some of her favorite books that got her into the genre, then definitely head over to the She Reads Romance Books book club, because as a member, you get instant access to all of my exclusive extended podcast interviews with authors and special guests in video form when you become a member. So it's very easy to join. Just head over to shereadsromancebooks.com/book club and sign up today and check out that extended interview. But until next time, happy reading as always, because life is better with a love story.
That's all for this episode of the She Reads Romance Books podcast. I hope you enjoyed it and found some new books to add to your TBR list. If you did, please subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. It really helps me reach more romance book lovers like you, and I appreciate your support. If you're a book boyfriend collector like me, then you'll want to join my email list so you never miss a podcast episode or a new book list. Just visit shereadsromancebooks.com/join and sign up today. As a thank you, I'll instantly send you my list of top 10 book boyfriends that will make you swoon. Trust me, you don't want to miss this list. Thank you for listening, and until next time, happy reading.